Trump tax cuts in 2025. All right, so we got some predictions, man. There's been a lot of news in terms of tariffs and taxes and all of that. So let's take a look and see what bro has to say.
We're covering the Trump tax cuts. I'll also be giving you some of my predictions. So we're going to start with this. It's a video clip of the White House press secretary regarding President Trump's tax priorities.
So these are the tax priorities of the Trump administration that the president
let's see it
for members in that meeting today. No tax on tips, which is obviously a very public campaign promise that the president made. No tax on seniors' Social Security. No tax on overtime pay.
Wow.
Renewing President Trump's 2017 middle-class tax cuts. Again, these are the president's priorities. Adjusting the SALT cap, eliminate all the special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners, close the carried interest tax deduction loophole, tax cuts for Made in America products. This will be the largest tax cut in history for middle-class working Americans. The president
that list is crazy.
With Congress to get this done.
Okay, now I want to show you this.
Man, and I know people are gonna like the tips. Yeah, you see the list here, man. This list is crazy. Social Security, so that's the older people that are on that. But no, this is crazy.
Accounts, President Trump's tax priorities. So I want to give you some more insight on each of these items, and we'll just go down the line, starting with no tax on tips. So just to remind you, this was a campaign promise and a big one by President Trump, and he wants to deliver. So I want to show you what he recently said in Las Vegas.
In the coming weeks, I'll be working with Congress to get a bill on my desk that cuts taxes for workers, families, small businesses, and very importantly, keeps my promise for a thing called, and I know you didn't hear anything about this, and I'm sure it had no influence on the state, the fact that we won this crazy, massive majority, a state that hadn't been won by a Republican in decades. But I'm sure you haven't heard, but we're going to get it for you. No tax on tips.
So listen, I want to tell you
I'm telling you.
I know the first thing that many people are going to think.
Let's see.
That's if none of your income is being made from tips, then how do you get in on this, right? How do you get in on this benefits? So I'll just tell you that there are ways to reclassify your income as tipped income, and then you get your money tax-free.
What? Oh, let's see.
But
I've never heard that before, so that's another finesse, right? If someone wants to lower their taxes, there's ways, I guess you can, I don't know, in terms of how you receive your income, that it becomes tips. But then would someone not pay any tips on anything? I wonder.
Being said, it is my belief to stop creative people like me that there will be a limit to how much of tipped income will be taxed.
And that would make sense.
So no details have been released about whether there's going to be a cap. This bill needs to still get drafted. But my opinion is that there's going to be a limitation of how much of your tipped income will be tax-free. So you probably haven't heard this prediction that there's going to be a cap, because this is my opinion from experience of how this works.
It has to be a
but
cap.
Let me answer this.
There's no way they wouldn't cap it.
Will this rule help people that make money from tips? And my answer is absolutely. The question...
But my thing is this, right? A lot of people who work off of, right, if it's cash or just tips, I mean, man, a lot of those people don't even report that income anyway. So I wonder, I mean, if the tip is paid cash, then for sure a lot of those people are not reporting that. I mean, if it's credit card or something like that, okay, yeah, then that's true, but...
is by how much, which is really asking what's the cap going to be. Now, moving on to no tax on seniors' Social Security income. First, I want to say it's about time. So this is my opinion. To me, it is ridiculous that we pay in Social Security taxes, so that's our money, but when we receive it, we have to pay taxes on it. That's tax on tax.
Yeah, it's true.
It's outrageous. Okay, so I want to show you what President Trump said about this issue.
We're going to have no tax on seniors' Social Security.
Okay, now I want to show you this. This is, of course, straight from the IRS website. If you're single, head of household, a widower, or married filing separately, if your income is above $25,000, the IRS taxes 50% of your Social Security income. So to clarify, it's not a 50% tax rate, but it means that half of your Social Security income will be subject to tax. If you're married filing jointly and your combined income is $32,000 or more, the IRS taxes 50% of your Social Security income. Now, if you're single, head of household, a widower, or married filing separately, and your income is above $34,000, then the IRS taxes 85% of your Social Security income. If you're married filing jointly, that starts at $44,000 of combined income. So this is crazy because look at how low these thresholds are. It's because they never adjust these figures for inflation. Now,
That's crazy. Nah, like I'm looking at these and I'm saying, okay, yeah, these seem pretty low. I wonder when these numbers were actually put out, because yeah, right, if inflation is going up, right, people's incomes are going to go up, so you're automatically going to be hitting this number where some people probably shouldn't
be.
Will
Trump try to adjust these thresholds, or is he going to try to make all of it tax-free? I predict that he's going to try to make all of it tax-free. That's just my opinion, but let's see what happens. Wow. Now let's move on to no tax on overtime pay. So
I know a lot of you are smiling at this one.
I'm also announcing that as part of our additional tax cuts, we will end all taxes on overtime. You know what that means?
Man, because you get a lot of times you get paid more in the overtime. So, wow.
Think of that. That gives people more of an incentive to work. It gives the companies it's a lot easier to get the people. And, I went to some economists, great ones, and I said, what do you think? They said, it would be unbelievable. You'll get a whole new workforce by doing that. No taxes on overtime.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wonder if this is actually going to happen, because, they may say things. It doesn't mean it's going to happen.
We saw President Trump say, end all taxes on overtime pay. But in my opinion, there's going to be a cap on this because this one's just going to be so easy to abuse. Like, you don't even have to be creative to abuse this one. Okay, so I want to give you an example. I run my own business, right? I'm an employee of my own company and I make my own payroll. So I could do this. So let's just say that I legitimately make $100 an hour and I legitimately work 40 hours a week. So my total income is $4,000 a week. So my taxable income is all of that. It's $4,000. In other words, all of the $4,000 that I make is subject to tax, right? Okay, now, how could I abuse the system? What I would do is I would cut my pay to $40 an hour, but I would claim that I work 80 hours a week, and that's a lot of overtime.
Oh, that's crazy.
And then my income from regular hours is now $1,600, and my income from overtime is $2,400. So my total income for the week, it's still the same. It's $4,000 a week. But now my taxable income has now fallen to $1,600.
Yeah, no way they're going to let you do that.
In other words, I just made 60% of my income tax-free by reclassifying my hours. So listen, this is just too easy to loophole and manipulate. So I would legitimately be able to make 90% of my earned income tax-free. I would just legit
that's crazy.
Work much more slowly.
Man, they're going to close these loopholes. So if this does actually happen, there's going to be a couple that are going to be around, but there's no way that they're going to, just let that happen because, man, they don't play about their money.
And I would do the same thing for my employees. Why not? I'm a nice guy. And many companies would abuse the system with reclassifying
just a chill guy.
Compensation and hours. So you see what I'm saying? There's no way that they're going to make all overtime free, tax-free. There's going to be limitations. Now, moving on to
or I'm thinking, too, they might adjust the hours. Because, even if you look at the hours, like, okay, maybe you have to have at least 40 hours. Because, man, then you get into the whole, like, hours and timesheet fraud and all that type of stuff.
So in President Trump's first term, Congress passed President Trump's tax cuts. It was called the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, also known as the TCJA. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, this was big tax reform. However, those tax cuts, they're expiring at the end of 2025, so this year. Some of those tax breaks, they've already expired or they've been phased out. Now, I want you to be aware of this. Of all the tax-related items that President Trump is talking about, getting this renewed is his number one tax priority. I can say that with 100% confidence. So President Trump and the Republicans may have to compromise on some of the other tax items on that list. However, this one, they're not going to budge on it. My opinion is that this is going to get renewed in full. So that's my prediction. Now, moving on to adjusting the SALT cap. So I want to explain this very simply. So if you pay state income taxes, locality taxes, property taxes, those are all tax deductions on your federal income tax return. But there's a cap. There's a maximum amount that you can deduct. It's $10,000 combined. So it was actually President Trump who capped it at $10,000 in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Now, I want to give you a pop quiz. Which states generally charge higher state income taxes?
New York?
It's the blue states, the Democrats. So this is actually kind of a funny situation because here you have the Democrats that are fighting for tax cuts and the Republicans, they're fighting against tax cuts. But to be fair, Republican politicians in the blue states do want this to happen. And then you have, other states like Texas with higher property taxes. Anyways, it is my prediction that President Trump will increase the cap. It's going to please the Democrats, and this is going to be a great bargaining
So then people
chip
can
in
write off
negotiations.
more.
So I believe that this one has a high probability of passing. Moving on to eliminating special tax breaks for billionaire sports team owners.
What's this one?
So I think that this has to go. This tax break, it needs to go. If you buy a sports team, you get to claim that as an expense, a tax deduction over the course of 15 years, even if the value is going up. You know what? I'm just going to give you my opinion. To me, I don't like this. Okay, here's why. If I buy a stock, and if I just hold that stock, I don't get to claim that as an expense or a tax deduction.
Yeah, that's true.
Over the course of 15 years. Why should they be able to? It's my prediction that
he's got a point.
The bigger tax breaks, they're not going to get eliminated, but I think the smaller ones will be regarding this, just to put up the illusion that something was done here. So if you're a billionaire watching this, don't worry, your tax breaks are going to be fine. Moving on to this one, closing the
any
carried
billionaires
interest
watching?
loophole. So here, private equity, venture capital funds, and hedge funds, they get to pay lower income tax rates on their earnings. They pay long-term capital gains rates instead of ordinary tax rates. So essentially, this is a huge tax break for investment managers. I mean, these are the people making hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. And I couldn't have summed it up better than this headline. This has been a long-time target of Democrats. So this also may be a good bargaining chip in the negotiations. And the last one, tax cuts for Made in America products. So these will be corporate tax breaks. Okay, so if this passes, corporations will pay less in taxes and they're going to make more money. Will the corporations pass on those savings to the consumers?
Man, I doubt it. I mean, in a capitalistic society, man, everyone's trying to get theirs. So I doubt it. I doubt they're going to pass
The
it
answer is
on.
absolutely not. Of course
Yeah, there
not.
you go.
Are you crazy? They're going to enrich themselves, but that's not the point. The purpose of these corporate tax breaks,
Man, if you do like these type of reactions, man, like the video, subscribe to the channel.
is to
If you want me to
attract
drop more.
companies to the U.S. or to prevent corporations from taking their business elsewhere to other countries. And of course, this ties in with President Trump's plan to revive American manufacturing. So I'm sure that this one's going to pass because this one is at the core of President Trump's goals. Okay, so that's the situation. My prediction is that the Trump tax cuts will renew, and each of these additional items, they all have a shot, each of them, they have a good shot at passing, but the question is to what extent and what will the limitations be?
Yeah, what's actually
So
going to
please
get
subscribe,
passed?
keep you updated
Man,
on
that's
all of
crazy,
this.
man. W video, man. But click this next video on the screen. You won't want to miss it. Another fire reaction.